What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and I gotta tell you, I just saw Super Troopers 3, and I can't go anywhere without somebody asking me, how is Super Troopers 3? Was Super Troopers 3 good? Did you like Super Troopers 3? And I'm here to tell you, it was good. It was actually really good. It was a lot better than Super Troopers 2, and I say I spent the majority of this movie saying, wow, where was this in Super Troopers 2? Why do they have to go all boring in Super Troopers 2? And not that it was bad. It wasn't boring. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But it wasn't as good as this. Like, this was so much better. This had, I don't know, humor. I feel like 2 just lacks some humor for some reason. But 3, it actually had a lot of humor going for it. Some of it was really, really stupid and really out there and far-fetched. And it was like they jumped the shark a few times. But it was really overall a really good film. There was definitely some things. There were definitely some things that were just like, why did they put this in there? Some things that didn't really make sense. Some shots that were just like, did you really want to do that? Or was that because it was a last resort and you couldn't cut that scene out? Well, without further ado, I'm gonna tell you guys a few things about this film that really I took away from it. And the first thing is this: Farva really, really shined. You know, Kevin Heffernan. That's not the right person. Oh boy, is that his name? Kevin? Oh, hold on. Super Troopers 3. Let's look it up real quick. Super Troopers 3 starring, yeah, Kevin Heffernan. That's his name. Oh, for some reason I was thinking King of Queens. That's Doug Heffernan. Yeah, my bad. Anyway, so he really shines in this film. And you know, he actually has a law degree in real life. That guy's actually literally a lawyer. He literally went to law school, got certified with the board or whatever you call it. He passed the bar, and he never practiced. He actually went into movies with Super Troopers and all, and the rest of Broken Lizard and whatnot. And it's actually really good in his part because he's actually really good in this film, and pretty much a lot of what they did, he's always shined in. He shined very well in this, and I gotta say, they use a lot of racial comedy in this, which a lot of times you wouldn't really think would work. In this case, it actually does a really good job, and just overall, it feels like one of those things where that they were trying to be really good as far as racial comedy went, but they were not trying to make it offensive. Like whenever that somebody would make a racial joke, if it was really bad or something, the rest of the guys would go, "No, no, no, you don't want to do that. No, whoa, whoa, too far." And that's how they get away with it. I love that. Like if it's somebody doing something bad, it's like how whenever that Cartman on South Park does something bad, it's like, well, he's a bad guy anyway. Like Farva, I don't want to call him a bad guy, but I'll say like it's in his character. You expect it from him. He's not the most ideal of characters. He's not going to be promoting this as a role model or anything. Like for example, one of my favorite moments that's completely offensive, but it's coming from Farva, so it's like whenever it comes from Cartman, like you just look at him and you say that's what he does. Was whenever that they're at dinner, and spoiler alert, they're at dinner with Farva meeting the parents of Jay Chizra. Well, I wish these people's names were a little bit less complicated. Jay, what's his face's character's parents, Sarita's parents, which is if you're not familiar with the premise of this movie, by the way, Jay Chandra Shashkar's character, I wish I remember his name, his sister and Farva fall in love, right? And so they end up at this dinner meeting his parents, not Farva's parents, but meeting Jay, what's his face's parents, Sarita's parents, and Farva, being the racist fellow that he is, he actually is on his best behavior, but he still lets out a few goofs, right? So he ends up saying something along the lines of like, well, he gets him a present of Gandhi on VHS, I think, and he gives it to him, and then eventually he makes this joke that's like, speaking of Gandhi, I'm starving. And that got me. That was my first laugh of the movie, I think. It really got me. It was really funny. And just, again, like something like that, completely offensive, terrible. That would probably not work for anybody else but Farva because, he's not the most likable of guys already, but, you love to hate him, just like Cartman. That was definitely one of the big ones. So where I'm getting at with this, where it kind of jumps the shark and gets too stupid, is at the end. Spoilers, remember. Steve Lemmy's character, which I can't remember his character's name right now. I can't remember any of their names right now. I just got Steve Lemmy. So Steve Lemmy's character, He ends up discovering that Andrew Dismukes' character is a part of this drug ring, right? Like, the villains of the film. He discovers all of them, and then his new rookie is a dirty cop, and he ends up walking in there and like, whoa, what's going on? That type of thing. And then, okay, I'm mixing up a little bit, but I'm pretty close here. He's like, whoa, there's a really bad drug thing going on here. Andrew Dismukes is like, I'm here too. Oh, like, and then, like, oh, it hits him in the face. I'm all bad too. So he ends up, chained up on a chair. And long story short, he ends up almost getting killed by having this syrup drown him in this drug syrup type thing. And then this smart car saves him, and somehow, literally without any explanation whatsoever, straps him to the top of the car. And when he straps him to the top of the car, he drives off. Let me remind you, this is a car putting him on top. Now, Super Troopers has never exactly been the most logical of films, but what I'm getting at here is that I feel like that's a little too fantasy. Maybe there have been moments in the other ones that maybe I just don't remember, but like this was completely unrealistic and completely just jumped the shark. And besides that, it was actually a really good film. Um, I take that back. There a little bit later on in the film, like you do have Steve Lemmy still in what's essentially like carbonite, like whenever that we have Han Solo in Star Wars, like he's frozen in carbonite. Well, he's like that. So it's just like, wow, he's got to be dead. Like he can't breathe. They literally jump, like the smart car literally jumps with him attached to the top over this ravine, like through the Dukes of Hazzard or whatever. So what's absolutely insane about this is his mouth is covered. He can't breathe the whole time, and somehow he even knows that he just jumped it. That's been his goal for the whole movie. Somehow he jumps it. That doesn't make sense. So again, it is Super Troopers 3 and it is Broken Lizard. So it is for all just the comedy and all. So I can let it slide. It's totally fine. And again, the majority of this film really was so much better than Super Troopers 2 that I'll just let that slide. So yeah, that's what I thought about Super Troopers 3. It was a hilarious movie. There were definitely multiple moments where I laughed out loud in the theater, and it did have a few moments that need to be forgiven. But overall, I would give this a good 6, maybe 6.5 out of 10. It was pretty solid. Like if the first was a 7, this is a good 6, and that really is good to measure up to. Because if the second one, I don't know, it's about a 5. If you check on IMDb, it's probably more like a 5.8 or so, but more like a 5. Like it was watchable, but it's nothing good to write home about or anything. Like it's whenever I felt like the franchise was going downhill a little bit. But then okay, if the first one's like way up here, the second was like way down here. This one just ended up like right here. I would say that's about how it goes. First one's the best, second one's the lowest, and third one's right in between. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Super Troopers 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Do all that stuff. And for anybody else that stops me on the street asking me how I thought about Super Troopers 3, well, here's your answer. Nobody's ever stopped me on the street asking me about Super Troopers 3. But I wish they did. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.